Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. Today we are taking on topics related to B2B marketing, specifically in like architectural and engineering services. And we're going to discuss craft over commodity, rethinking what we really sell in B2B. So if you've ever wondered why you get traction in B2C and not B2B or vice versa. If you've ever been told that B2B marketing and storytelling don't mix, this is an episode for you. Our guest today is the lovely and wonderful Briana Carter. She's a seasoned marketer, chaos coordinator, and storytelling advocate with deep expertise in architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Since 2016, she's navigated the wild world of professional services marketing, where deadlines are tight, jargon runs deep, and relationships rule. Brianna is passionate about demystifying B2B marketing, especially for rising professionals and students who rarely see this career path highlighted in classrooms. Known for her candid insights and inclusive thinking, and a flair for organizing the creative chaos, she brings warmth, wit, and wisdom to conversations about what marketing really looks like in business-to-business environments. Welcome, Brianna. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
Yay, so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I know the B2B world is a mystery to a lot of the folks out there who haven't been exposed to it. I know there are plenty of people who are B2C who would like to do that, but they're not sure how to break into that or how that is different from going direct to consumer. So how did you arrive in this world? Let's start there.
Yes. So especially in our industry with architecture, engineering, construction, or AEC, most people fall into it. Like we all joke that fell into this industry by chance. And it was a thing to where I went to school. I studied, actually, I was a art and art history with a concentration in 3D studio art and architecture, as well as got my bachelor's of business administration in marketing. So I had both of the realms, but didn't know how to marry them together. And so I went through business school thinking that I was going to be working for Colgate or working for Mattel, Fisher Price, whatever is out there, thinking I was going to do like this mass marketing, have the billboards, everything, and just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do next or couldn't figure out what job would actually take me. Because of course, as you can imagine, the Coca-Colas, the Mattels, the Colgates, it's competitive.
It's
like
hard to get through that door, you bet.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, well, what can I get? And so in looking for marketing jobs, I actually found one that was for a sales agent for Equifax. So yes, the credit bureau.
Okay.
So that was my introduction into professional services marketing as a marketing coordinator and sales support specialist.
Okay.
So I was talking to banks and people who are trying to pull credit files. So if you can imagine you're trying to buy a car, I'm talking to that person who's trying to pull your credit file if they have any issues. And so that's how it started. It was like, okay, how can I support businesses in that aspect? And then it was actually a move to Colorado that brought me into the AEC world, starting on the construction side. Some recruiter found me on LinkedIn. I always talk about this, the power of LinkedIn. People find in the most mysterious ways. And this recruiter found me and was like, there's this company who's interested in your skills. It's a marketing coordinator position. You'd be working with engineers. And I'm like, I know nothing about engineering, but you're going to be working with engineers and they're interested in what you can do. And oh, you have a photography background. Can you go out on site and take pictures of our construction sites? And I'm like, sure.
Why not? It'll be fun.
And I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of height.
Well, like, maybe if I've got only one hand to hold myself onto the structure, I might be a little more concerned.
Exactly. What do you mean I have to go up this scaffolding up the side of a building and get on a rooftop and like be okay? Like, hey.
All right.
Like, again, some of the coolest projects, some of the coolest pictures too. If you can imagine, you see the Rocky Mountains behind you. It's a crisp, clear blue day. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now get me down. Now get me down.
Yeah, exactly. I got the shot. Now get me down right now.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Don't let fear get in the way. Yes. Live from courage.
Exactly. I was like, I may be covered in sweat now, but we did it.
We did
We
it.
did it.
Exactly. And I feel accomplished now.
Exactly. And then still get me back on the ground.
Exactly. So you started taking some photos and doing some stuff. How did the business to business marketing really unfold for you now that you've had some direct business sales experience and you've now brushed up into architecture pretty good?
Yes. So in this AEC world, what we're doing is it's all through the pursuit process. So my world is proposals. I'm doing them day in and day out. And either a general contractor will reach out to us or it could be the end client. They're coming to us to try and get something built, retrofitted, added on, et cetera. It depends whether it's new or a renovation, adaptive reuse. That's been pretty cool getting to see some of those adaptive reuse projects, especially like where I am now. It's the revitalization of the historic core at the Smithsonian. So they're doing all of
Ooh,
that stuff of the Smithsonian Castle, which I'm like, that's so
how
fascinating
much
that we have people
fun
who
is
know.
that? Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
incredible, like what people can do and being able to like. My favorite part of being in this industry is being able to drive down somewhere and go like, we did that building or we did that one. I proposed on this one and someone else got it. And I'm a little bitter, but it's a cool project and this is what it's doing for the city. It's all about proposals and it's all about talking to those people and trying to see what it is that they want and really sell them on the idea that we are the right team to help them achieve their goals.
I want to dig into this
Yes.
because so often people think just because they're turning in a bid or a proposal or something that they have to be the cheapest one. And I think
No,
that's a recipe for driving yourself into the ground. So
it really,
how do you not be the low provider and still get the deal?
and that's the biggest thing. And what I would say, especially like what I like about how I have the experience on the construction side, the engineering and the architecture side, is it's different ways of approaching a bid. And so, like on the construction side, and we were a specialty contractor, so specific on your mechanical system, so your duct work and all that other stuff, your plumbing systems, as well as high purity piping. So we did a lot of pharmaceutical work. Same thing with just having like your pump skids that you could put at the airport or whatever the case may be. So it was, in a way, we were very selective on who we would work with. And we had a lot of repeat clientele, which I mean, most people do. The whole
Yeah,
80/20 rule, how like 80% of your work, or wow, yes, 80% of your
80% of
work
your
comes from 20%
percent
of
of your
your
contact. Yeah.
exactly. And so it was the thing to where we were able to be kind of selective and choosy for some of these things. And I would say it was so much easier. Like I was always like winning the work, and it was like, yeah, I'm awesome. Our people are awesome, especially because you're selling that relationship to where we would always talk about how we may not be the cheapest option, but what we are going to do is be the high quality work. And here's what our craftsmen can do. Here's what you get if you pull our people in. Here's our mission statement, our core values. And this is how we bring those into your project. And we won't undersell you. We won't oversell you. If you like, we try not to do change orders. Like, we want you to have that bottom line dollar amount to fit within your budget. If we can go under budget and under schedule,
Better.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's the big thing. And that's how we even sell some of our stories is being able to say we were able to do this efficiently. Our project manager was in constant communication with the other project manager or the owner's rep, whatever the case may be, and being able to just talk about those pieces in terms of efficiency rather than like actually having the lowest dollar.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of makes a firm unforgettable to a decision maker? So it doesn't matter what the other competitors spend or bid or whatever it is. What makes you the obvious unforgettable choice?
It's all about relationships. It's truly all about the relationship. How do you feel when you're talking to me? How do you feel when you're working with me? It's that whole thing of just like if you feel good with me, or if you're able to just keep on talking to me, bring up any situation, not feel afraid to tell me, like, hey, this went down and it's not good for me, or it's not working for us. Can you help me out? Being able to have that relationship to where you feel like, oh, yes, if something's going wrong, I can always talk to Brianna about this. A lot of the
What are
sure.
some of the practical tacticals around that? Because I know coming out of science and extremely tech
Mhm.
situations, we are not known for our social prowess.
Mhm.
So I think it's helpful sometimes to have it spelled out. What
Yeah.
are like the actual pieces that make that relationship that way?
And I think especially in this industry, and again, having the viewpoint from each of the segments has been pretty eye-opening because there's the stigma between architects and engineers, and a lot of people say like, "Oh, are the stereotypes right?" It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
engineers don't typically like architects, and architects don't typically like the engineers, and we always complain about the GC and this and that. It's like, yep, it happens, and it's just because a lot of the times, and this is what I like about certain contracts delivery methods, to where if everyone's taking onus in that contract, then it's a little bit better. People have better teamwork and collaboration. However, it's a lot of pointing fingers. It's like, well, the architect didn't give me enough ceiling height to have my ductwork exposed, or to give me enough room to make sure that your fire protection sprinkler is not over an electrical socket and this and
Yeah.
that. You hear all the crazy things. Like, can you guys just get along and talk? Like,
It's like my dad would bitch about car engineers. He's like, why would they ever mount this direction? You can't possibly service it.
exactly. And it's like the cool things like that, because, like, for example, some of my favorite people to work with in the architecture space, because I was a part of the academic sector, so higher ed, was the residence life group. So anyone who did student housing or residence life, they would have these incredible stories and even talk about how, like, when you create a residence hall, it doesn't matter if it's for undergrads, grad students, freshmen, sophomore, it doesn't matter like what level. It's about creating the space with the student in mind for having like how they're going to live and work and like that balance. But then it's also coming from a facilities maintenance perspective, like, how can I set this up to give that facilities person easy access to maintain these spaces, or to be able to go in and control all the spaces? Do I want students to have control of their spaces, to give them that autonomy, because that's a big
Right.
thing now? And it's just being able to find those cool little niche things. But those are the selling points that clients love. They're like, oh, you're thinking about that. You're thinking about my end user. You're thinking about my facilities people and how they can do their job easier and more efficiently and even safely. That's the biggest thing, is being able to talk about those key pieces. And there's a lot of research behind that. That's the other fun component, is people are doing the raw research and pulling that data to go, this is why we do it this way, and this is how it can help you at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is try very much to put yourself in the shoes of the other people in
Yeah.
the project. If you're an architect, think about what the engineer might be complaining about or what the GC might be complaining about, not as a personal attack, but more as a way to inform what you bring to the project. And think
Exactly.
about the experience of the maintainer and the end user, because that will support your client in achieving what they want to achieve. And they will have a longer term happy experience with you for having put yourself in these other people's shoes.
Exactly. And I mean, it's even like when you read the bids and like the proposal solicitations, there's certain questions that they ask. And the thing is, especially as someone who does pursuits, I look at those questions like, what is the purpose of this question and what are they trying to really get out of it?
Yeah, what are
So
they at? Why are they asking this question?
exactly.
Yes.
What is the pain point? How can we alleviate that pain point? And a lot of the times it's on like, how does your project manager work with us? Especially on the architecture standpoint, it's like a lot of stakeholder engagement. Like, how do you interact with owners and our stakeholders and this and that? And it's because someone has done something in the past. Same reason why we have like on our coffee cups, this contains hot items, or this may be
Yeah.
hot, because something has happened in the past. So now we have to just let everyone know up front. Just communicate. Just communicate.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other thing that I hear is that the communication needs to be open and non-defensive.
Yes.
Listen carefully to what they're saying. Don't defend yourself from attack that probably hasn't even happened or may not ever happen. Just take the information in and then come to a conclusion. Believe
Exactly.
it or not, we are up on our first break already. I know.
That was
how's
fast.
how's that even possible? So I want to dig into creative chaos. A lot of people, you're a chaos coordinator, a lot of people equate creativity with chaos. So I want to understand the role of all that when we come back from the break. And I'd like to leave a little homework for the listeners. So, what would be a good thing that they could be thinking about in terms of our recent discussion that will help them move forward a little?
I would say, what are you not listening to in the conversations that are being had? Or what are you taking defensively? Because a lot of the times, like you just said, it's not a dig at you. It's what experience did that person previously have that could help you create a good solution for everyone.
Mm, I like that. I like that because you can always take information two ways. Well, three ways, really. You can receive it as something positive, you can receive it as something neutral, or you can receive it as an attack. And so, if you can step back one stage, I think it helps. So, if you're currently feeling like you're attacked, how can you move into a more neutral stance around the
Exactly.
information? If you're in a neutral stance, how can you move into receiving it as a positive thing? And spend some time considering that. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, strike it loud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I am back with the amazing and wonderful Briana Carter. And before the break, we asked you to spend some time about shifting how you receive information from your normal mode to maybe one step more neutral or more positive to allow for greater solution finding, because that builds relationships. When you receive something in a negative, it tends to break relationships down, and we clearly want to build them in the B2B space. So, Brianna, speaking of
Yeah.
building in the B2B space, I mentioned I wanted to dig into this creative chaos situation because a lot of business owners are allergic to chaos.
Start using that.
I am allergic to chaos. I want order. I want process. I want predictable. And chaos doesn't feel that way. And yet, on the marketing side and on the creative side, chaos is frequently productive. So, where does it help? Where does it hinder? How does this all play together?
Oh, that is a loaded question. And I feel like I can go in different kind of tangents on this. So let's go tangent one. What I think I like the most about architects, because architects are kind of my people, because they have that creativity spark and they just keep on going. The biggest issue with them is they don't know how to put the pencil down and they don't know how to stop because it's never
Stop,
perfect.
stop, 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 stop.
Like, can you just please, we have to turn this in 3 hours.
Exactly.
Please,
Done beats
please stop.
perfect every time. Done beats perfect.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, how can we make this a little bit better? However, you do have to put the pencil down because we do need to package this file.
Yeah,
And
there comes a moment where it has to be good enough.
exactly. And it's so hard for them to get there. So if anything, we're in chaos together. And there's a couple of people who I've worked with who I love working with them, but we're probably not a good match for each other because we will think of every single idea to where we've gone from here to here. And all of a sudden our whole entire story has changed, but it's like, okay, the deadline is still
And lost track of where you started.
exactly. And it's like, okay, but are we answering the question?
Is
Like the
this
biggest
what we
thing is, are
really
we
need to be
answering the
doing?
question?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I love being able to work with those people because they give me creative ideas and allow me to have that space to go like, whoa, what would the client think if we added this in, or if we talked about this, if we added a call out to hone in on their core mission and values? Like, what if we were able to do that? And so it's like, a lot of times it's the deadline. With pursuits, everything is a deadline, whether it's the
Yes.
deadline, like you have to go to the pre-submittal meeting, if you have to go answer like a series, or not answer, but ask a series of questions for, just to make sure you understand what they're looking for. There's a deadline for when you have to submit, and God forbid if you have to print, because there's still some people who want you to print and
Yes.
seal. and have like wet signatures. What is wrong with you? Like what? Just take the
Get with
digital.
the program, take the digital signature and be done.
Exactly, because my architect is going to wait until the last minute to give me their schedule and to give me their final like rendering. So work with me.
Help me
But
out here, people.
exactly, it's all about that deadline. And for me, especially, and this is the thing that I love to talk about the most, especially with people in S&PS, so the Society of Marketing Professional Services, which is geared to marketers and business developers in the AEC world. So trying to give them kind of hints and tips of how to make their pursuit process go smoothly, because as you can imagine, I'm a twin mom, I'm working, I'm out and about, I'm on the board for S&PS, like I'm all over the place. How can I make this efficient and streamline the process to make it easy for all of us? Because there's been plenty of times where I have worked a 16-hour day and absolutely dreaded it. And there's other times where it's like, okay, how can I do this in a way that allows me, especially when I am working, because I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. If I'm working with people in San Francisco, obviously I'm hours ahead of them. So how can I get it to a point where they can pick it up as soon as my day is done, and then they can get to the next steps where I can pick it up in the morning, and then we just do the same process. So it's a lot of juggling. It's the whole idea of what balls can you drop because they're rubber versus what balls can you not drop because they're glass.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times it's like, do I really need to add in this extra like paragraph about the history of your company and how it's so cool to me, versus actually answering your question and making sure that that doesn't get us disqualified because I didn't even answer how we do our project management process.
Yeah, you got to cover the basics as well as tell the story.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you have a good schedule, you get all those questions answered, and then you can augment with great photography or an extra call out, a stat, a just something kind of cool to let you stand out.
Yeah, exactly. So back to the chaos question. It
Yes.
sounds like you've defined spaces where chaos is okay and spaces where chaos is not so okay.
Yes. Yes. And another, this is tangent too, when it comes down to working with consultants. So there's a lot of times, especially on the architecture space, where I'm the prime architect lead and we have 18 consultants. So our opportunity owner or the person who's leading the pursuit from a technical standpoint, they're getting me in touch with consultants so I can get in touch with their marketer and then from there get their content and keep the process going. And if you can imagine, if there's any forms where we need their signatures or numbers or certification, like their actual certificates, it becomes another layer. Same thing when it comes down to actually needing like fees and dollar values from them or percentages, it's another layer. So we're trying to come up with an efficient way of getting that, because if you can imagine, if you have consultants who are giving you half-ass things, a portion of this, not answering this question, it becomes a complete nightmare. And that happened to me once, and I was like, never again. So I have this whole process of when I'm in our kickoff meeting. So like when we kick off our pursuit and say, this is the timeline and the schedule, I'm like, so are you reaching out to the consultants or am I? Okay.
Yes, let's be clear.
Exactly. If you're going to reach out, CC me once you have the A-OK. I'm going to keep on harassing you because that's my job. I'm the harasser.
I'm the professional nagger.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm going to poke and poke and poke. I'm like, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? And so I'm poking and poking and poking. And so then it's like, okay, as soon as you reach out, make sure you CC me, letting them know who I am. If you don't, then here's who I am and here's why I'm reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Here's why I am now harassing you to get me what I need. But then I'm spelling it out. And the thing is, I know how people read. I know people look at the bold. They look at how you're connected to someone else. They look at the bullet points. I'm going to have links for where I need it. And the biggest thing that kills me, because of the fact that, once again, we talked about this earlier, people ruin things for other people. So of course, our company's IT has locked down so many things, we can't even receive Dropbox links. That's where we are. Okay. So it's a thing to where like, I'm telling you exactly how to get my files and my templates, and I'm telling you exactly where to upload, because the last thing I want to do is have to come back to you, because more than likely, and the thing with this too, is I'm giving you a deadline well before my deadline for when I'm going to start to panic
I
to make sure you give it to me.
I find that to be super duper useful in terms
Yes.
of a habit to have in your world. Never, ever give them your deadline. Give them
No,
a deadline that gives them a chance to fail and you can still succeed. And
exactly.
that saved my butt last year because we sold our house to move cross country to Louisiana. And
Lovely.
I arranged for the movers to come like 5 or 6 days before we actually had to be out of the house because I wanted to be able to repair damage to the walls and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't want to kill myself while I was doing it. And
Exactly.
so when the movers showed up and started moving the goalpost on what they were going to charge in an obscene sort of way, I was able to tell them to take a hike and go find another mover. Whereas
Exactly.
otherwise, I'd have been over a barrel and they could have extorted a ridiculous amount of moving fees out of me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason why they say to always get three bids, because
Yeah.
you at least have your three that you can compare. If you like the highest price because you know it will be efficient, they won't damage your furniture, etc., then you go for it. But then having the opportunity to go, like, you know what, like you said, take a hike because you suck, then I can go to these other two, which may
And
not
go,
have been my first choice,
yeah,
end up
can we
being the
get a
better
new
option.
date? How can this work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a huge, huge piece of advice. It's one thing you can do to really change your world is to give
Yes.
yourself that breathing room. Never give them your due date. Give them
No, and it's
something
that
that gives you a
thing.
cushion.
Exactly. And it's that thing to where, like, especially in this world, you don't have control over a lot, especially
Right.
because they already told you the deadline. They told you what you have to answer. Sometimes they give you a stupid page limit and like they want to tell you to put it in 8.5 by 11 with 1 inch margins, 12-point font, Times New Roman. And you're just like, ugh. Like,
You're killing me here.
you're killing me. Can I go back to Helvetica, please? Just please. Like,
Yeah,
no.
you know, Ariel reads better. Thanks. Let's use that,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. But then being able to find that one thing that you can have control over, which is your internal deadline, which is when you get the information that you need, so much better.
So much better. I love that. I love that. A lot of times people think that the biggest drag on their growth is their capability. Is that really a truth?
Because this gets into the conversation of segmentation. And if you decide to add on more markets and sectors to your company, or if you decide to open up another location,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people think if we're bigger, if we expand into these markets, then it's going to be better. And it's like, no, what is your true value and how do you bring that value? What are the stories? Because as I always say, like, especially when I would go out to sites and take pictures, proof is in the pudding. We have to take these pictures because that allows someone to have that quick visual. Because like I said, we know how people read. They read the bullets, they read
Yeah.
the big
And
headlines,
they look
they
at the
look at the
pictures.
picture.
Well, and
And
the
so it's like,
pictures are worth 1,000 words, and a video
exactly.
so much more, right?
Yes. And so it's a thing to where, like, if I can do those things and draw your eye to where I need you to be, then we can spark the conversation. So it's like, yes, capabilities are important, especially when it comes down to saying, because a lot of times too, with our competition, we may be able to do a wonderful residence hall or your student union, but we don't have as much experience in business school. So that's a little bit harder for us to sell. However, we have a vast higher ed experience. So it's just like, how do we answer these questions? And are we the right firm for you? It
Yeah.
may not be the thing because now you're starting to think about your differentiators. And the biggest thing that happens, and we all joke about this too, it's like, we're the best firm in North Carolina. And the biggest thing that I like to ask my teams now is like, who cares? Tell me why I care.
I
And the
was
thing is,
I was going to say the best firm in North Carolina for what?
and that's the thing. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Why do I care? Do I care? And then they dive in a little bit more. And that's been the best thing. Same thing like when I'm talking to people, especially when I was on the construction side with the high purity piping space, or if we were doing, we did at Denver International Airport, one of their de-icing plants. And it's like,
Oh,
why is that important? That's a cool project because what you're doing is you're helping people be able to fly safely and get ice off of planes because they're going at high altitude. They're in the
Exactly.
cold.
And hopefully take off and land on time and safely.
Oh, and we're not going to even get into that with poor people being stuck in places because government is shut down and FAA issues at the moment. But it's like those additional things. It's peace of mind, it's safety. And that's the thing. That's what I love about what I do is it's the kind of feel good pieces. It's the like intangible feelings that we're selling. That's the end result and that piece. So again, it's all about relationships. How are you making people feel? It may actually be better to say we have successfully created X amount of hospital beds that have saved X amount of lives, rather than going, we have done 500 hospitals. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah,
Who
exactly.
cares? Tell me more.
Have you done them well? How are they working out for people?
Exactly.
Did you stay within
save
budget?
money? Exactly. And then do you have a client testimonial? Like those are the best things to be able to say, like Dr. So-and-so at whatever hospital says that this setup of my operating room has allowed me to efficiently and safely coordinate this surgery, which is a high-risk surgery because I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So let me ask you something, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions around what good marketing should look like. Now we're up on our second break, so I'm just going to tease that we're going to go into what good marketing should really look like in your B2B space. What should we think about over the break? What do you think, Brianna?
Oh, what should we think about? Let's think about processes that maybe you're having issues with in your current workflow, and one small tweak that could potentially make your process better, or your life easier, your client's life easier.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be ultra creative and something no one has ever learned from. If it dropped for you, they don't give them your deadline piece of advice. You can use that.
It's not speaking from experience.
Sure, I've never driven that truck into the wall.
Oh, nope. I've never gone downtown to deliver a proposal 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Yeah, no, it's my favorite piece of advice. So find what works for you. Think about it a little bit over the break and hang with us. We'll be right back.
Oh, check it out, but we're here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I am back with the amazing, wonderful Briana Carter, Chaos Coordinator Extraordinaire. I'm going to throw that on the end. Why not? All the superlatives. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions that leaders hold around what good marketing should look like, because there are campaigns that feel super uncomfortable internally, but create a huge pull in the market. So let's break some of that down.
Yeah, and the thing is, especially with marketing, it's a lot of trial and error. And there's even some things like when I was on the social media side, it just depends on who your audience is. So from a social media campaign for a construction company, it could look different. So obviously LinkedIn is more of your B2B space, but Facebook and Instagram may be more of your way you connect with your employees' families, especially when you have tradespeople who are not necessarily like in your company, but they work for your company because they're contracted union workers.
Yes.
So it's being able to find those pieces to bring that feel good, like family connection. And one successful campaign that I would say that I did that really showed me the power of just showcasing quality work and craftsmanship was during COVID. Our construction was considered essential work, so we didn't shut down. We were still going.
Yeah, exactly.
And
socially distanced with all the masks and extra accoutrement.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you can imagine, you could see the pictures like of people separated out in their masks. They're trying to have a group huddle meeting, but again, like you can just
the circle's 50 feet around because
exactly. And it's just like, okay, this is real. This is happening. And I was at home because they shut the office down, but working from home. And I'm like, there are people out there, like our guys are still going to their site and still putting this building up. So why am I here? So I got in my car, drove in, you might as well say, it almost seemed like post-apocalyptic times into
Yeah, the
downtown Denver.
streets were just empty.
And I'm like, I love this because no one is
Easiest
around.
commute ever.
So I'm doing these things and I'm like, it became those amazing pictures of like, this is why we're essential. This is what's happening. And then even being able to see what was happening in our fabrication shop and it's like getting skids ready or getting the steel ready to do those negative pressure rooms. And it's like, again, we are doing this. We are combating this pandemic. And
Yeah.
here's what it looks like. Like, this is proof that this is what we're doing. And then the biggest one was when one of our workers in our fab shop created portable sinks. Because if you can imagine, you're on a construction site, especially if you're at the beginning, there's only porta potties.
Yeah, there's no utilities to
There's
speak of.
no
Yeah.
utilities,
You
no
bring your
indoor.
own generators, you bring your own batteries. Yeah.
Exactly. And you may have like the trailer that's on site, but like typically the only people who are in there are your project manager, maybe your superintendent, just a few people. But like, how do you allow this to still happen, but then still keep health and safety front of mind? So we
Yeah.
created portable sinks and like they showed us how it worked and showed it on site. We took pictures and it got picked up by like different news outlets and stuff like that. And I was like, this is amazing. This is the power of engineering. This is the power
Yes.
of resilience. And it's like cool things like that where you would like a sink or how I would talk about my job was to make plumbing sexy.
Yeah, there you go. There you
How does
go.
that happen?
And I think a lot of times when you're leading a company and you think about good marketing, you think about it pretty narrowly. It's like, how do we tell the world about our amazing services, as opposed to how do we show our function in the world and how valuable we are and what a great partner we would be? It's a more tangential approach to we're amazing and you should work with us.
Exactly. And it's ultimately coming down to like, are you listening to us and our true needs? And if you're doing
Mm.
that, then it makes it a little bit easier to do good marketing. Same thing, like, especially these big high value proposals. There was one that I did, oh gosh, what is time? Maybe last year? We'll say last year because I don't remember. 2025 is a blur.
Time warp.
Exactly. And so I did this proposal and it was for a museum for John McCain. We did not get selected because you might say everybody and their mama, brother, sister, uncle
Yeah, who
pursued this
didn't
thing.
want to bid for that? Yeah.
Exactly. And it was this incredible project, but it was a museum slash library slash who knows what else we want it to be. But let's just throw everything out in the kitchen sink to see what we can do to honor Senator McCain's life. And so it was this really cool thing to where because it was a museum and we had some experience as a firm, I was like, why not put in these cool sound bites? Because we do have a podcast internally at our firm
Nice.
and we call it the Good Room Podcast. And our host, Tully Mahoney, she'll ask different architects different things about what makes a room good. So we did one on the Good Museum. And so we had these experts talking about what makes a museum great or how you preserve artifacts and showcase them in a way that's good for the community. And one of the companies or one of the architects who was highlighted actually was a part of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. And he was explaining how walking through the rubble, what they would pick up and how they created the museum, like powerful, impactful stories of something that people can remember and then like actually see themselves walking through the path. And I think that's the power of storytelling too, is if you can have a piece, especially because once again, we know how people think and how people are. They're not going to read all those lines, but they may listen to something. And I feel
Yes.
like that could be the future of proposals. Can we have sound bites? Because I mean, think about it. For me, I rather digest my information either by video or by podcast because I'm always on the go. But if I really need to focus in on something, I can sit down and listen to whatever or see whatever rather than just read it and scan it. So what I did was we had our text because you have to answer their questions the way they want them answered.
Yes.
And they're, 11-point font, Times New Roman. And then I added in sound bites from that podcast. I was able to cut in little pieces that augmented the question to say, listen to our experts talk about this. And to me, like, that's additional brilliant marketing in the sense of not only are you writing it here, you're now giving them another opportunity to hear it. And that was my sneaky way of adding in another project, because I could maybe only highlight 2 of them, but I'm able to add in additional information about another project to, again, prove that we've done this before.
Right. I love that. I love that. So how do you tell if your marketing is actually earning trust or just adding more noise?
And that's the hardest part, especially for people on our end who do the proposals, because a lot of the times how I see like my win rate is, did I get our team to the shortlist? From the shortlist in the interview, it's all on the team at that point, because I'm not in the room with them. I can help them create the PowerPoint deck or the leave behind the placemat, but I'm not in the room and I'm not the one who's speaking what I'm going to do on the project. That's all on them. So a lot of the times it's getting that debrief, whether we win or lose, to hear how did that proposal go? And there's a lot of the times, especially like, for example, with those sound bites, we try to figure out, well, can we create a separate web page or be able to track links and follows and clicks? And sometimes we do that through our website, and sometimes we can do that through like Adobe Express or things like that.
Right.
So we're kind of tracking those things, but then also following up with people like, how did you feel about that? Did that work? Did you click on it? Did that help you? Did that give you trust in our superintendent or our project manager or our lead architect? And just asking those additional questions, because it allows you to know, like, yeah, let me do that again, or do I just abandon ship and we'll never do that again? Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everything is a lesson learned, but did it work? Did it not work? What
Right.
can I learn?
Well, and I think that's one of the advantages of the B2B space over a B2C space, because you know exactly who your marketing is directed at. You know
Exactly.
precisely the names of the people you are talking to. And so you
Yes.
can go back and ask that question posthumously in a way that you can't in a B2C sort of space.
And we even do that in post-occupancy evaluation. So it could be a whole year after the fact. And what we can do is you can do like your building analysis. So we have a building sciences group who may look at the sustainability, or they'll look at like, how much did you save? Like, what did these windows do to like allow you to generate heat and lower your revenue or maintain a good temperature or a good environment? So we're asking those types of questions as well. We're asking like, what's your favorite part of this building? Do you actually utilize this space based off what we wanted it to be utilized as? Or even like another cool thing that I was able to do through the AIA, so the American Institute of Architects. Let me double check on that, whatever AIA means, because I'm like AIA, because our industry is full
Of acronyms, yes.
So the AIA, they did a conference. This was last year, I remember that, in DC. And we have an office in DC. And we were actually doing a tour of one of our buildings at the University of Maryland called the Idea Factory.
Oh, nice.
And it was so cool to be able to actually, because I would always see these beautiful pictures of it, with this amazing kind of window that changes, like the lighting changes throughout the day. So at sometimes you see this building and it looks purple, other times it looks green, other times pink, and it's like this amazing thing. Like when you think about architectural genius, I'm like, what?
How
So
cool is that?
But we went into one space that's their entrepreneurial like space, and I think they call it the startup shell. So students are coming in and thinking of different ideas, doing design thinking and all this cool stuff. And we walked in and I was in there with one of the interior designers of the space, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is not what we wanted this to look like, but it's lived in, there's plants everywhere and this and that. That's the thing. We may have this idea and this vision and we want it to be clean and pristine, but once people actually live in this space, that's when you really know if it's working or not working. And so it's beautiful to be able to go into those spaces and see how people are interacting, see what people like moved out of the way. Is this corner actually utilized in the way that we wanted it to be as a space of respite? or is it now more of like just a storage space?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
has happened? Like
Well,
it's
and
so
we had that in one of the residence halls at the college I went to. They had this great tower that they had built, and instead of doing like smaller lounges on the different
yeah,
floors, they did one massive like great room at the bottom with this huge fireplace, and it was a big echoey, uncomfortable, not
yep.
gathery kind of place. And it's like, yeah, that one was a miss.
And the thing is, it's having those conversations afterwards to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, again, don't take it to heart. It's a great learning lesson. It's things like that. And the thing is, what I wonder about your facilities team or whoever does procurement for that college, have they used that firm again? Or have they
Yeah.
shifted going, that was a complete miss, so we'll never use them for another residence hall. And
Don't
it's so
don't know the
interesting.
answer for that, but yeah.
But it's those things that we think about too, and especially when it comes down to thinking about the pursuit process. Do we want to go for this or no go it? And sometimes it's questions like that. It's things that we know in the background. Oh, X, Y, and Z architects screwed this up, so we may have a chance. Let's go
Yes,
for it.
exactly.
Exactly.
So we're down to our last couple of minutes here. What are your words of wisdom for anyone out there who's in the B2B marketing space and is still trying to find their feet and figure out how we make this thing work? What is your piece of advice?
My piece of advice would be to actually get out there, because I think that's the main part of how I've understood my space in this world a little bit more, is getting from behind the desk, because sometimes we feel like we're tethered to the desk and we're just constantly producing. Get out there and actually see how it's delivered, how it happens, see the process of it all. Because once you have that holistic picture, you can market it better, you can sell it better, because you understand the process, you understand the heart, you understand what it took to get there. And I mean, engineers have great stories too. So if you get them talking and get them to tell you why they do it and what's so cool about it, I've written awards missions this way. And it's just from talking and getting out there and understanding. So I always tell people, get from behind the desk and take a field trip. Like, we love field trips as kids. So take a field trip now and just experience it. Just experience it.
I love it. That's amazing advice, because we've gotten to this point in technology that a lot of us feel like we don't have to leave. And I don't have to leave the office. I can Zoom it. No, sometimes you just have to be there.
And it's feeling the space too and understanding, because it just, having that lived experience really transforms your writing. It really transforms it.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Brianna. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us today on the podcast. I know you have a million ways you could be spending the last 48 minutes, and I'm honored that you have invested them with us. And I hope you take something valuable away from this conversation that you can apply in your own business, in your own career, to make it better, to amp it up, and to reduce the chaos.
Ramp it up.
Or ramp up the chaos, depending on what you need in that moment, because sometimes we need to break shit.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us today, dear listener. And until next week, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.